Hello and welcome to Connect. I'm your host, Randy Shabilo. On today's show, we'll have the Artistic Director for the Saskatoon Jazz Orchestra, Dean McNeil, as well as performing artist Jessica Robinson. As always, we'd like to connect with you.
Follow us on Facebook at ConnectYXE, catch past interviews on YouTube, email us at connectyxe@gmail.com, or leave a message at 306-665-3796.
The Saskatoon Jazz Orchestra Artistic Director Dean McNeil is with us today, and we're going to talk a little bit about some upcoming shows that are happening at the Broadway Theatre. Thanks for coming down.
Well, thanks for having me.
Okay. I want to talk a bit about you and the musical career that you have, and then
Sure.
we'll get into the orchestra itself. What drove you to music in the first place?
Well, I always had a love of music. My brothers played music. My parents were very supportive of their kids kind of doing all kinds of crazy things. So I had a kind of a deep connection to music right away. It made sense to me, and it was always important to me. Probably the biggest effect, though, was strong role models. I grew up in Edmonton, Alberta. I had a great elementary school, junior high, high school band teachers. The shadow of Tommy Banks was in everything there. He's like Canada's or Edmonton's favorite son. And when I was at MacEwan University, he was the department head, and so he had a big influence on me, and I got to know him very well. So music just seemed like something that you did, and it was something that you had fun with, but took very seriously at the same time. So yeah, it's been a great ride. I'm so thankful for music. It has enriched my life in so many ways, and yeah, it's just been a wonderful ride. And I've been here in Saskatoon for 25 years now, going my 26th year at the University of Saskatchewan. I'm the department head there, and I've run the Saskatoon Jazz Orchestra for 10 years and been involved in the Saskatoon Symphony for many, many years, and the Jazz Festival. It's a really great community. So I feel very fortunate to be part of this community, and I work very hard at trying to keep things going and, paying it forward.
What kind of music did you listen to that sparked your interest? I would imagine it wouldn't be something that you'd start playing a kazoo or a ukulele. It would be a little more sophisticated than that. Was there different genres of music that you were drawn to?
Well, first of all, I love the ukulele, and one of the things that I learned really young is I think it was Duke Ellington that once said that there's two types of music, good and bad, and he liked the good kind. So to not differentiate with style, there's great country music, there's crappy country music, there's great jazz, there's crappy jazz, there's great classical music.
Understood. Yep.
So I always was trying to focus on, and again, my role models. Whatever music that you were playing, you tried to play with the highest musical integrity. So I would play, like I remember doing some gigs, younger person with this like magnificent saxophonist named P.J. Perry, like Juno Award-winning, world class, and it would be like a dance band gig, and he'd be playing the clarinet polka, and he played it so well I could listen to him. It sounds, I don't know if it's funny or not, but strange. I could listen to P.J. Perry play the clarinet polka all day because he just played it with so much heart. So I played classical music, jazz. I've played in all kinds of bands over the years, funk bands and polka bands and Ukrainian ethnic bands. So I've been very fortunate to do that. What kind of music attracted me? Without really high quality music, and I really tried to avoid those types of labels that you're this or that. But people put you in boxes, and that's the way the world works. So
if we hear Saskatoon Jazz Orchestra, we would not only just hear jazz, but maybe some variations.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, like this year alone. So our first concert, there's a very well-respected academic at the University of Saskatchewan named Stephen Ryan. He's a mathematician and an amateur musician, and he had all these very heady ideas about mathematics, in particular hyperbolic geometry at the quantum level, of which I know very, very little about. But we teamed him up with a very, very special composer, and they started talking about math and music, and they wrote this music that kind of emulates or is connected to, in very sincere ways, kind of this math and music concert. So not your standard jazz concert. The last concert we just did with Dee Daniels, who is she won the Soul Artist of the Year, winner of the Western Community Music Award, or Western Community Music Awards, sung with the WDR Big Band, like an amazing dyed-in-the-wool jazz singer, right? We've got a concert coming up. We can talk about the Ellington one, so some of our concerts are kind of retrospective, where we look backwards and say, how can we keep this great musical tradition going? Others are very, very modern and experimental. When we were just coming out of COVID, we had a little bit of money, not a lot, but we commissioned all these poets. We said, get together with these composers, talk about how COVID affected you, and then write something and we'll play it. And we had like all kinds of music, So we do some tributes to Duke Ellington, tribute to Basie, tribute to so on and so forth. But it's really quite creative music, but we try to keep it palatable to their everyday listener as well, because jazz is either a scary and some people even think it's offensive. I don't like jazz. You'll hear that all the time. But when people come to our concerts, they're like, this is great. Come to the next one. So, we called it the Saskatoon Jazz Orchestra. It's a good label, but it's a very generic label, right?
Understood,
and each concert is so vastly different than the next. We've done like a tribute to Stevie Wonder, and we did a tribute once to Steely Dan, So I wouldn't call Steely Dan a jazz artist, but that idea of a big band so it's 15 horns, so 5 trumpets, 5 trombones, 5 saxophones, piano, bass, drums, guitar, singer. It's a really interesting ensemble, because you have kind of at your fingertips, if you will, as an artistic director or composer, all kinds of different potentials. There's a lot of different places that you can go.
Sure.
Yeah.
So in December, on the 16th, at the Broadway Theatre, talk a bit about the Nutcracker. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, so that's a fun show. I am a huge fan of Duke Ellington and his one of his very best friends and co-writers, Billy Strayhorn. So once a year, we do a super family-friendly show. I tend not to call them Christmas concerts. That's kind of limiting, right? But a concert around the December holiday, whichever holiday people celebrate. And the Nutcracker is one we've done. Last time we did it, I think, want to be 5 or 6 years ago. So the second half of the show is going to be the Nutcracker. And it's a jazzy version of the Nutcracker. It's like Duke Ellington's version. And we even have, I know one of the members of the Duke Ellington Orchestra, Brad Shigati, he's a trombonist. He played in the Duke Ellington Orchestra for 19 years.
Wow.
And he's living in Canada, in Vancouver. And I said to him, you want to
come on down?
He's like, yeah. So he can, when we're rehearsing, he can really help us be authentic, right? As authentic as we can to honor and service, be in service of that magnificent music. And of course, the source material, the original Nutcracker, the classical version, is great music. So it'll be fun to do that. And then the first half of the concert is going to be, some fun, lighter classics. We'll play something from the Sound of Music, like the My Favorite Things, and we'll play some jazzy versions of holiday tunes, and Let It Snow, and I'm sure there'll be a Christmas Carol in there somewhere. But it should be a really fun show. And for our Broadway Theatre concerts, we work very hard at keeping them affordable. So they're not very expensive. That's intentional, and we have some great partners to make that happen. And so that means people can come, have a great time, have some popcorn. And the Broadway Theatre is a really great size venue for that. It's we mostly play acoustically, right? And to do that as a big band, you kind of want to have a box or a rectangle with a really high ceiling and a racked seats, right? So the Broadway Theatre, whoever designed that, whether they were intentional or not, they did a really good job of making an acoustic shaped building that works really well for electroacoustic big band stuff. Yeah, it's pleasure.
And some of the musicians you mentioned, the numbers of them, are they full-time musicians, or is this they work in other careers and professions and play with you?
There's a mix. One of the things when I started the SJO, I actually went to other regional professional jazz orchestra directors, and I said, if you could start your ensemble again, knowing what you know now after running it for like 15 years, like the Winnipeg Jazz Orchestra, for example, what would you do? What would you do different? And I got some great advice. And one of the cool things about the SJO is there's no fixed membership. Like no one plays every concert. In fact, I don't even play every concert. I might play in one and conduct another, but there's one concert idea having come up that I won't be on stage at all. So what that means is we design a project idea, and then we figure out how to make it work, and then we hire the band to fit that idea. And there are some people who we use a lot, but it also means that we can have different guest artists. Like, for example, for this concert coming up, Tatrina Tai is going to be our guest singer. The Saskatoon Youth Orchestra is going to, Saskatoon Youth Jazz Orchestra is going to play some stuff. And then I can kind of invite different people from our community and different guest artists, people from Regina. We have some people come in from Edmonton. So what's exciting about that is that people get to work with different players, and it's exciting to do that. You get inspired by other players. So the fact that we have no fixed membership is really interesting. I didn't understand how interesting that was when I started, but now that I've done it, it's really cool. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing you on the 16th. We'll get the tickets at the Broadway Theatre for the Nutcracker. Best of luck to you and the orchestra, and we'll see you there.
Well, and thank you for supporting the arts through programs like this.
Perfect. We'll be right back, folks.